Okay, let's see. I've decided to do a short little stream today because, on the one hand, I'm trying to get my days up and do this a little more often, and on the other hand, I was working on it and figured might as well. But this is basically a project I've been working on for a while, and I am just gonna work on it on stream because why not? And talk about it a little bit. I've been getting a lot more into like the deployment side of things, especially with work, picking up a new DevOps role. I just got done doing that actually, like a few minutes ago. But I've been getting more into like the GitHub workflows and Helm deployments and Kubernetes and all that kind of stuff. And I figure I would have some fun with this project I've been working on that is essentially a kind of like a library, but also an application. I'm trying to do both in a weird way and basically provide a platform for people to build websites on, but also a library for people to use to build websites with. So it's more of a developer aimed solution than something like Squarespace or that, but and who knows if I will ever finish it, but it has been a lot of fun, and it's at least going to offer me an easier way to manage some of the projects that I have been picking up as far as building websites for other people. Mostly I'm using it as an easy way for myself to build websites for other people, let's be real. But this tech of many is the library, and then I have my Helm charts here and my GitHub workflows here. I'm not going to get into the details too much on this because, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's going to watch this anyway, and I'll give enough context that it kind of makes sense. But kind of what I'm working on today is I want to make the API portion of this library a deployment package, basically a package that I'm going to host in my own package repository. So like, because the API isn't a UI portion, and it isn't something that anyone else is going to want to customize all that much, outside of maybe some settings that I'm going to offer, I don't feel like it needs to be something that is built into the actual websites. It's something that I can provide as a package that they just pull and deploy out to their clusters. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's all in TypeScript, and I'm using Express for this. I'm using Next.js for the actual websites, but for the API, Express is way easier because it offers simpler way of doing the APIs because it doesn't have all the, you know, static generation fanciness going on. But basically what I have right now is I have a health check route, and I have my routes that are being provided to my server. So when you visit the actual page, because I'm running it, am I running it still? No, I'm not. Okay, so if I run this, Ah. I didn't like that. Terminate. All right. So I want to npm all right. Let's try this. There we go. All right. So when I load it up, that's what I see. It's just this health check endpoint. So far that's working. My next part, now that I have this working Express here, is I need to add a build script. And a start script. Because I'm going to want to build it in the Docker container. And I'm going to want to be able to start it with just a simple npm start once I want to use the container. And I actually have this in another project. This is one of the projects I'm working on that I'm hoping to use this with. Where basically I have an admin portion of things, and then I have the regular site. And this is going to be the API that communicates with both of these. And it's going to be a separate service that will have its own endpoints. So for my components, no. Oh my goodness, I swear. Package.json, yeah, right. Oh wait, no, this isn't what I want. Because that's right. These can be fancy. This doesn't apply. I don't have next build or next start because I'm working with Express. So yeah, I gotta Google what these. Oh, King Cast Ninja! Yeah, I'm doing a code stream. If you want to hang out, feel free. It's a lot of fun. But I'm kind of diving in here. It's a Next.js/Node.js/Docker and Kubernetes code stream. But glad you stopped in. And if you want me to go into detail on anything in particular, I guess let me know. But if not, feel free to hang out or otherwise. I won't be bothered if you don't. Alright, so TSC. This is TypeScript compile. And I want to TypeScript compile my server. So TSC. I think it will automatically use my TS config. Yeah, defined by tsconfig.json. So I I don't have to provide that. So it's just tsc source server.ts. And then my start, I have it compiling into dist. So my start is going to be node dist server.js. All right. So I should be able to, I don't want to start that. So I want to do a new PowerShell. This is type of many. npm build. Well, didn't like it. Oh, API. This is going to end up being a monorepo with a bunch of sub packages, so I got them in folders. All right. So it built it. Oh, but it didn't do it to the out file. It just did it where it was. All right. So I might need to provide it. So apparently it doesn't want to see what it is. So how do I do that? Oh. Okay. So I can apparently I don't know if it wants me to define, I think I can define an entry point in my tsconfig file. Filer options, files, extends, include, references. Type checking, modules. I really thought that you could define an entry point. This is where coding is 100% knowing how to use Google. Exclude, include. Oh. Okay, files. Ah, right here. Boom. My headphones just off. They might have. Oh, well, I don't have any music on right now anyway. All right, so apparently if we include our files here, And we don't need this right here. So I'm saying compile my TypeScript and use this configuration file, which is going to source directory, starting on that file. I don't know if this is redundant. I have to figure that out. And compile them out to the dist directory. And then all these other settings that are, you know, things I looked up. There's a certain level of knowledge that you want to know about this space, and a certain level that you really just don't. Yeah, there we go. That's what we want to see. So now it built out to this dist directory and included our source maps, which if this was production, we really don't need to worry about source maps, but they're really nice for debugging. So I'm going to leave them in for now. I might end up removing them, or maybe not though. They don't hurt anything. Especially not because this is a server. Now, if this was compiling JavaScript code that I'm wanting to like provide to a front end, I'd probably want to remove it because you don't want all that extra. You want to minimize everything. But because it's a server, it really doesn't matter if I'm providing them extra files and extra code. All right, I'm gonna run npm start. Oh, address is already in use, but it would have started it. So if I go back and I get rid of this, it should still be running. 4002. All right, cool. So that is my build and the start. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to create a Docker file. The way I have this set up to work, because it's a monorepo, Docker is really nice. I've talked about this in previous code streams here, but it's been a long time, so I'll go back over it. Docker is essentially, I'll go ahead and start my Docker desktop. What this is it essentially lets you run containers, which are basically tiny, I think of them as little virtual machines. Some people would probably not like that terminology for it, but it lets you define a container that runs your code without you having to set it up on the machine every single time. So for example, say somebody else wanted to download this library right here and be able to just run these tools. Normally, if they just downloaded this code, they'd have to install Node.js, they'd have to install basically all these tools that I'm using. Docker lets you do it without having to know what you need to install. So, for example, I have this database backup job that I set up using Docker. And I'm telling it, hey, we're using Python, and I want you to go in, I want you to copy all the files that you need and install all the requirements you need to require and set up the environment for this code to run in. So, and then you can run commands on those containers. It's really neat. So I have these set up using Compose because I know that I'm going to have multiple images I'm wanting to build, and this is the easiest way for me to do it. So I have this database backup job that is its own image. I might end up combining some of these jobs into a single image, but I haven't decided yet. I don't know how many images I'm going to need, but for now I'm just trying to keep it simple. But this is also going to end up being its own image. It's basically just going to be its own self-contained node server. So we're doing this based on, what is the image we were using? Node 16. This is the most recent node. Okay, so we're going to define our working directory. I'm going to steal a lot of this from my other ones. I'm not going to do the project path thing because I don't need to. This one I'm not as worried about because this isn't going to be getting built all that often. So, but our working directory is going to be very similar to this, just because this is a standard kind of route. So we have our API. Just for fun. All right, so that's our working directory on this container. Everything is going to get installed and run off of that directory. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy the package.json. All of our package.jsons. Yeah, I don't know if that works though. We'll see, we'll find out. So we're going to copy our package.json. We're going to copy our, we're going to do that, and then we're going to run npm install. What that's going to do is that's going to copy these files over and then create this node modules folder. Then we're going to copy our tsconfig.json and our source. I think we can just do that. Yeah, right here. I don't actually need these layers. And we're going to run npm run build. So this is going to create our package.json, or our node modules, and our dist directory. So in our Docker Compose, this is going to be called API build. Our context is where our Docker file is located. So that is in API. And our image I actually should probably I'm probably going to want to prefix all of these with this project because this is going to my personal GitHub package repository. And just having database backup is not hugely helpful. There's probably a better way to tag this, but for now, this is what I'm going to go with. So, tech of many API. So when I go and do actually, I should just add the command because for my Python scripts here, I want to be able to run multiple commands off of them. This API only has the one thing we want to do with it. We want to run the server. So I'm going to go ahead and from this Docker file, I think I can just run npm start. And then I can close this out. And we might have to configure ports on this. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so if I do docker compose, it should go through and build both of these. So it's building the database backup. And I have these environment variables defined right here as local and latest. But when we go into the actual GitHub job that deploys these to the package manager, I have them disabled as the release version and as my GitHub container registry, which is nice. All right, yeah, see, it's going through, it's building the image, it's installing Python. Oh. Copy requires at least 2 arguments, but only 1 was provided. On line 5, really? Oh. That's my bad. You know, it's gonna yell at me again. Yeah, because not being super duper intelligent here. So it's installing all my stuff and building all my stuff. Sometimes this takes a while. I already have Node on my machine, but it has to reinstall it from Docker. because it has its own little self-contained environment here. We'll eventually get a container running in this view. There we go. Right here. This one is running, this one is not because, see that message? I don't think it'll let me visit it though. Nope, because I didn't provide it a port. So it's not gonna let me go to it because this is its own little thing. It has no ports open to the public, so I'll have to change that. But this right here you know, actually, I want to change that too. I think what I want to do with that is, in order to make it an environment I can run things in, I think I can do that. We'll see. And then for this, I want to provide some ports. So, do I do that in here? No, I don't have a Docker file in here. So I have to look up how to do this. Ports. So this is my Docker compose file reference. And I want ports. Basically right here. So we can do the host and the container. Which would mean that I can do $1,002, and I want that to go to, where do I want that to go to? Let's just send it to 4002 still, since that's what I have it open on. So we're going to close these down. We're going to rebuild them. And now, I believe, let's see. Yeah, see, 4002. And, nope, that didn't work here. That's okay though. I'm not working on that today. I'm just going to back this off and not do that since I don't need it. It didn't do what I thought it did. Okay, so now we have our server running in a Docker container. And I don't have to update this at all, which is awesome. Because all this does is anytime, this is what's called a Github Action. It runs on GitHub, this version control website that's amazing. Anytime I publish a release to this repository, it's going to run through these steps. It's going to grab that release version and put it in the environment as this version. It's going to use this container registry as that. It's going to Docker compose build, and then Docker compose push, which will mean that it will push these images out to my container registry, the new version, because I have this login action that logs me into the GitHub container registry. And obviously, because it's a GitHub action, you can just use GitHub values. Although I did have to set this up. But I'm not going to go into secrets with y'all because that's not stuff that you want to show on screen. I can go into how to do that at some point, but I wouldn't want to show the actual UIs. I'm not even like sure if I should show my GitHub and stuff on screen. I don't know. I gotta figure out about that. Like what has stuff to show and what doesn't. But yeah, so basically I have this set up now to where it will build, it will push an image out to the package repository, and that will be available there for people who are using this Tech of Many project. So for a little bit longer, let's get into the actual expressive things, just for fun. So I'm going to close out of Docker. I don't think I'm going to get into Helm today because I don't think I'm going to want to stay on that long. But I'm basically creating this as an API that will manage a website. So I can get rid of this test route because I'm not using it right now. So this API that I am creating, goes out of that. It is going to, for now, kind of what I've implemented is the user portion. So user login and registration, essentially. Now, for this, I have it in this user folder, and I'm essentially going to want to move it into these routes. So, new file, auth, no. I don't think I want to make this auth. Do I? Do I want to combine the user and the auth endpoints, or do I want to separate? I think I want to separate them out, actually. Because the authenticated user is going to be based on tokens, whereas user management is going to be something completely different. Like, the admin website is going to be able to manage users. And you're going to be able to see a user's profile and all this kind of stuff. And that's not connected with the authentication stuff. So I think I'm going to make the authentication its own thing. So we're going to have some authentication routes. We're going to have a register. We're going to have a It's kind of a login, but it's more so a check credentials. Validate? No, I think it is login. Because I think validate is going to be validating a token. So we're going to have a register and a login initially. That's all I'm going to worry about for now. All right. So I think right now I'm using a separate service. Yeah, here. So I think now I have a decision to make. So what I could do is I could take this user functionality here, and I could move it in to like a library portion here. And what that would do is it would make it to where if you want to do all this stuff, essentially, if you want to create a user, if you want to update a user, if you want to do any of that, you go through the API every time. Or I could leave this stuff in here and make it available with the user package. Because what it does is it uses a storage package to create and fetch user stuff. And because we're using Next.js, you do have the capability of writing your own server-side code. So I might leave it for now. So I'm going to leave these in here, and I'm only going to get rid of these, essentially. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to use this user package within our API package. And I have that set up. Actually, I need to implement that. I have it set up here. Let me open that folder. See this? I started setting this up here. So this is kind of the more advanced version of it, but I'm trying to pull back and actually do it within the Tech of Many project because I think that's a better place to do it than slowly building it out in here. But because I'm using npm version 16, Node finally introduced, well, npm finally introduced this concept called Workspaces. That is so nice. So essentially, it lets you reference across all of these different workspaces. So we're going to have an API one. We're not going to have a deploy one or a jobs one because those aren't through Node. The jobs are Python. The deploy is Helm. We'll have a storage one though. And we will have a user one. What that lets me do is, you'll notice, well, you might notice, within my package.json here, I was able to reference this folder as dependencies. That's what this is going to let me do. I'll basically be able to, within this package.json, reference user as a dependency. And I think it's in version 1.0 because that's what they kind of create. Yeah. By automatic. So we have our user package now. And then our user references storage. And now we can get rid of this file reference because we have workspaces. Cool. So now what we're going to do is I thought I added a command. Where did I add that to? You know, it might be in here, actually. Deploy full and admin. Yep. So we can run a command on a specific workspace, is what I was looking at. So in here, I can say scripts and I can say API. npm And this will be on Workspace. Oh wait, this is the wrong file. I do that all the time. This project. All right, so now I should be able to install. It'll run install on everything in the workspace. So this will also be installed. At least it should. Oh. Where is this at? No matching version found for user. Oh. So it does want the full. That's nifty. The reason why I'm doing this is because it's kind of a convention when you have like a monorepo of related packages to provide that kind of notation so that you know that all these packages are part of the same combined thing. Oh yeah, see, maybe. Yep, it doesn't look like it's dying. And this got built. And so did this. Okay. All right, so we ran npm install. Now we're gonna oops. All right, so it should be running still. Oh. Yep. Okay. So now I'm gonna close out of this. I'm gonna go to this. So within my API, login, route, I'm going to import a router from Express. Set that equal to it. And nope, this is going to be a post request actually. And it's going to be login. Router request response. And a response. Never typing for TypeScript. Now, when they post to the login, we want to call this validate auth user. So from yeah, I don't think this has an where does submit auth, view auth, destroy auth, submit register, and view register come from? It's static? I don't think we want all this. The reason why is before, when we were doing our login, we were handling our login on the same server that the person was browsing on. But now, with Kubernetes, you might have 3 or 4 different versions of the same website deployed out. And if you're saving the session on the server, it's not going to translate well. So we're going to want to use API tokens. I'm going to have to do some research into how that's going to work, because I don't actually honestly know all that well how to do API token-based solutions. I know that libraries probably exist out there. Honestly, this library can probably do it. I was using a library, I thought, but maybe I wasn't. I could have sworn I was. But yeah, I'm going to want to essentially, instead of doing this session stuff, plus session user, I'm going to want to do API tokens. So we are going to do this a little differently. But for now, because this is like completely disconnected from everything else. For now, we know we have our request parameters are going to be username, password. Wait, no. That's in the body of the request, not the parameters. Parameters would be if, like, I was doing this, but that doesn't make any sense. You want to do it in the post request body. Which means I'm going to want a body parser on my server. This right here. So we're going to save body parser. That's irritating. Oh. What's the most recent version? 1.20. We can do it the old-fashioned way. I forgot it yells at me to do that. Body parser 1.20. So it's going to tell it to install that. All right. And then, I'm not going to do that just yet, just in case there's something else we need to install. So we're installing our body parser. Let's see if they've got an example. Yep. So we want the JSON one. So on our server, have a dash. Yes. Yes, it is. All right, and then we're going to use bodyparser.json. I don't know if it shows an example of using it in the request. Yeah, we don't need to worry about any of that stuff. I don't believe. So, cool. I want to say, I don't remember if this when you use it will automatically make our terms middleware that only parses JSON and looks at requests for the content type header matches the type option. A new body object containing the parse data is populated on the request object. Okay, so yeah, our request body should be an object now. So we'll find out. We will find out shortly. So if I do that, then I should be able to import, for now, auth user from user service auth user. Right? Oh, wait, hold on. Are we not exporting at default? Nope. So that just means we have to put our little things around it. Usually if I'm just exporting a single function, I export at default. I don't know why I didn't do that, but I don't feel like changing it right now. Okay, so we're gonna make this async. I'm gonna await. And this takes for user authentication. What is our user authentication? I wrote this so long ago. Like, I really should go back and almost rewrite it. Yeah, auth.name, auth.password. Yeah, I should change that to take just a username and a password as arguments. I don't know why I did this auth user authentication object. Yeah. So I wanted to make it difficult for myself. And what does this return? It returns either a user or false. All right. Now, I just print the user. Actually, user. Next week. Ooh, that scared me. My phone just went off with a message. If not user, this would be a 401, unauthorized. Else, oh wait. User. All right. So basically, if we have a user, send a 401, or if we don't have a user, send a 401 code, which I'm pretty sure yeah, unauthorized. And otherwise send a 200. And I can worry about making that better error handling later, because this is literally just the API layer. All this is doing is saying, we get a username and a password. Is it valid? Because then that request can come from anywhere. It can come from the regular site. It can come from the admin site. And then if it comes from the admin site, we would then probably check permissions in another call, saying like, does this user have the permission to be here? Real quick, I'll probably just do the register call and then I'll be done for today because I didn't want to go too long today. And I want to give some thought into, before I get too deep into the rest of it, I want to give some thought into how I'm going to handle the tokens. But I'll do another stream implementing the tokens. But this is going to be register. We're still doing request and response. We're still doing it async. We're going to have some other information. What did I have on here? Name, email, password, password confirm. So we're going to have a password. We're going to have a password confirm. And we're going to have an email. Because when they're registering, we want to make them confirm their password, and we want to make sure we have an email. This handles the encryption, right? Yes, cool. Don't have to worry about that. So on registration, we are going to create user. And I like calling this register user, so I'll probably update the name of this function. Oops, register. That's the wrong spot. Because if we're just creating a user as in within the admin panel, creating a user, we wouldn't need to have a password confirm. We would probably have different validation rules that would be separate. We wouldn't log them in afterwards, so we might not, we wouldn't have to generate an API token for them and such. Whereas when we're registering them, we might need to do that. Okay, so what does this do? So it returns basically a form error. And otherwise it returns a user. So we're going to check for, actually we're just going to return if we return users at 0. Oh, we're not doing the validation. That's why we're importing them separately. We're not doing the validation in the create. Yeah, I'm going to rework how this works. Because we want to be doing the validation on the create. This doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know why. I must have been thinking I was going to set this up in a way different way. And now that I'm going back and doing everything via this API, I think I can clean a lot of this up to be in simpler calls so that they don't have to worry about composing that themselves. I don't know why I thought I was going to have them do that. It's a really bad user experience. Anyway, for now we're just going to create the user and not validate it. If we don't get a user, we don't get a user. Name, username, password, confirm, and email. So we're awaiting create user. If we don't get a user, or if actually response. Because yeah, if I'm doing this all on the same, I'm going to rewrite this to work like this. If Actually, never mind. I'll leave it. We're gonna leave it. Because I can still piece these together. That's fine. So, yeah, we're just gonna leave that as user. We're gonna send 500. User could not be created. This should never happen because we're literally just inserting a record and then pulling that record. If this ever happens, something very strange has occurred, and then we'll send back the user. So I think what we're gonna want to do what did I do validate login? Okay, I know what we're gonna do for now. Validate create user. Okay. Validation. Validate. Create user with these fields. I was probably just passing the request body in, but I don't think we want to do that right now. If validation error. I don't think we want a 500. Bad request. We're gonna do 400. Validation dot name. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. I'll just make that the response. There we go. So we're basically sending the form errors. And we're going to do the same thing on authenticate user. Login. Username, password. So within here we have this. I'm gonna give it these. And then we're gonna say if Validation error. We're going to 400 and actually I think there's a .json. Yeah. Did I not do that on the other one? Yeah, I did not. Oops. Validation. Okay. So we're sending back the form errors if our form submission fails. Now, if I npm install, because I installed that library, and then we're going to run our API dev. Oh. Okay, I think what this is yelling at me about is that in here I need to do that. Yeah, there we go. Now it's running. So, all right. Now the fun part. Let's say I do I want to use Postman for this. Postman's the easiest way to do it. Not am. I'm going to use my Google. It's free. Might as well. Do I have to download the That's annoying. Postman. Downloading this and installing it. Forgot you have to download the app to use it. I'll show you why I'm doing this here in a minute. Postman is a wonderful tool and well worth it. pop up. There we go. Okay, sign in. Oh, interesting. I already have an account. Okay. Well, that just did, but I believe I have a workspace now. So my workspace, and I can have collections here. So I'm gonna add, no, yeah, new collection. I'm gonna call it Deck of Many. Right here. I'm gonna add a request. I'm gonna add a post request for 4002 slash, oh, this isn't gonna work. So we have our register and we have our login, but we're not using them. So export default router. I think I want to do this differently. Because, I'll show you why. So login is a function. It takes a request and response and performs this. Register is also going to be a function. This is why I am so finicky about how I set things up. I swear. Okay, so login, register are both just functions now. So we're going to import login from login. We're going to import register from register. And we're going to express. So here is where we're going to define what those routes are. So right here, router dot post login. We're going to perform login on register. We're going to perform register. That way we kind of can look in this index file and see all of the routes that we are using. And the same thing here, I'm going to import auth routes from auth. And everything auth related will go through auth routes. Did I not export default? No. Is it not gonna? It's not gonna retry. Kill it. Netplan module register. Oh. Whoops. Gotta have the directory. Has no exported member create. Oh, auth user. There we go. Now, auth register. I should be able to send in the body form data. I'm going to send username, test, password, test, password confirmation. Let's break it. Test one. And email. And let's see what happens. Look at that. Email and password are required. So I wonder why. In our validation, it's not seeing those. So registration.email, registration.password. But it is seeing registration.name. Oh, can I not do that shorthand? This shorthand might not be a thing I can do. Let's see. Email. And then we'll just copy this down. I'll clean this up later, make it look prettier. All right, now let's try Postman again. Still same error. Wild. Data and salt arguments are required. Oh, hold on. Register. And log in, same thing. If it errors, we don't want it to go to the next. So what this is saying is, in this middleware, cut off the chain and just go to the next step in the middleware. So yeah, now it doesn't go into all that error data and salt arguments required, which we'll get into later. That's because the environment isn't actually set up right now. I'd have to run like a MongoDB server and everything locally in order to do that, and I don't feel like doing that at the moment. I will set that up in here though, because this is going to be my main testing ground for a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I don't know why these are breaking, so let's find out real quick. Let's close all these tabs because it's a lot of stuff to have open. Don't need that anymore. We're just testing register. So let's log these. Undefined for all of them. All right, let's log. So we're sending form data. Maybe we just have to send it raw. I think we have to send it raw. So we will send some raw JSON data. Test. Password. Test. Password confirmation. Is it confirmation or confirm? Confirm. That feels long. We're gonna mess that up on purpose. And email test@test.com. Still no. Ah, there we go. I had to send it as JSON. You know, that makes sense because we only used the JSON body parser, so it wasn't gonna work. Okay, so password and confirmation must match was the error we got. So I'm gonna save this as register user. This is basically a test. Post request. So yeah, that's about all I'm gonna go into today. But I'll probably hop on here a couple of other times at random intervals and just go through a little bit of this because, I don't know, it's kind of fun to talk to myself while I do it. It makes me focus. I don't get sidetracked doing other things. And I actually get a chunk of work done. So I will see y'all on the flip side, but thanks for joining.